Good day, friends. Welcome to Second Sight. Every week, we will revisit one remarkable movie, not to review it, not to rate it, but to discover what it quietly reveals about life. And at the end of every episode, I will leave with you three questions worth living with. I have loved movies for as long as I can remember. Like most people, I initially watched them for entertainment. A gripping story, wonderful performances, a memorable ending. I would leave the theater feeling that I had watched a good film and then move on to the next one. But somewhere along the journey, something changed. Today, I don't merely watch movies, I have conversations with them. Sometimes those conversations begin years after the credits have rolled, and that brings me to an experience that quietly changed the way I watch cinema. Many years ago, a close friend and I happened to watch A Serious Man, not together, separately. When I walked out to the theater, I remember thinking that was a good film. A few days later, we met. Naturally, the conversation drifted towards the movie. The film itself lasted about an hour and a half. Our conversation lasted about 2 hours. We questioned scenes, we debated motivations, we noticed symbols the other person had missed. One of us saw humor where the other saw tragedy. One interpreted silence as surrender, the other saw it as wisdom. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the movie began changing. Except, of course, the movie hadn't changed. We had. I walked into that conversation believing that I had watched a good movie. I walked away convinced I had experienced an extraordinary one. That afternoon taught me something I have never forgotten. Some movies end when the credits roll. Great movies begin there. Since then, I have watched many films more than once, not because I had forgotten the story, but because I had become a different person. A great movie is like meeting an old friend. The friend hasn't changed, you have, and somehow the conversation becomes richer each time. People often ask whether I enjoy reading management books. I do, but if I am being honest, some of the finest lessons I have learned about leadership, resilience, decision making, courage, relationship, hope, and human nature have come from cinema. Not because movies teach, but because stories allow us to discover truths for ourselves. That's the spirit behind Second Sight. These won't be movie reviews. There are countless brilliant reviewers who analyze cinematography, performances, music, and direction far better than I ever could. I'm interested in something slightly different. What quietly lies beneath this story? What can this film teach us about ourselves? What conversation has it been waiting patiently to have with us? And perhaps most importantly, what did we completely miss the first time we watched? I don't expect my interpretation to be the right one. In fact, I hope you disagree with me from time to time because I have come to believe that the discussion after the movie is often where the real movie begins. So I would love this to become a conversation rather than a monologue. At the end of every episode, I won't offer conclusions. Instead, I will leave you with three questions worth living with. Not questions that demand immediate answers, questions that may quietly accompany you for days or perhaps even years. If they make you look at the movie differently or look at your own life differently, then this series has served purpose. Next week, we begin with the remarkable The Shawshank Redemption, a film most people remember as a prison break story. I remember it as something entirely different. Until then, keep watching, keep wondering, and remember great movies reveal themselves slowly.